Hello, you are most welcome. I'm teacher Ivan from Warner Educational Services. Today we shall be looking at coordinate geometry, which is the study of geometric properties of lines, points, curves, and graphs. Let us start with how we plot points on the Cartesian plane. When plotting points on the Cartesian plane, we start by locating the x-coordinate and then the y-coordinate, and where the two meet will be our point. However, before we look at how we plot points, let us look at the Cartesian planes. The Cartesian plane is made up of two axes, that is the y-axis and the x-axis. And these two axes divide into four quadrants. We have the first quadrant, where both the x and y coordinate are positive. For instance, if we are to plot a point that has both x and y coordinates positive, that one will go in the first quadrant. It's because it's the quadrant where both x and y coordinates are positive. For instance, we are plotting 2, 3. You come to the x-axis and locate 2. Always the first figure represents the x-coordinate. So you come to the x-axis and locate that figure. So that is our figure 2. And then project it until it meets with the y-coordinate 3. So where 2 meets with 3 becomes our point. And since they are both positive, so that is in the first quadrant. Then we have the second quadrant, where the y coordinates are positive and the x coordinates are negative. So if we are told to plot a point with the x coordinate that is negative and the y coordinate is positive, that point lies in the second quadrant. And therefore, the negative 2 is the x coordinate. So you come on the x-axis and locate negative 2. Where it meets with the positive 3 on the y becomes our point negative 2, 3. And since the x-coordinate is negative and the y-coordinate is positive, so that point lies in the second quadrant. Then we have the third quadrant. In the third quadrant, both x and y coordinates are negative. Therefore, when given a point and all the x and y coordinates are negative, those are plotted in the third quadrant. For instance, we have negative 2, negative 3. So you come on the x-axis, locate negative 2, and where that one meets with negative 3 on the y-axis becomes our point, negative 2, negative 3. Meaning, if we are given a point whose x and y coordinates are both negative, that point is plotted in the third quadrant. And we have the fourth quadrant, where the x coordinates are positive and the y coordinates are negative. That is, if we are given to plot a point whose x coordinate is positive but the y is negative, that point is plotted in the fourth quadrant. That is to say, we look for the 3 on the x-axis, and where the 3 meets the -4 on the y-axis becomes our point 3, -4. So that is how we plot points on the Cartesian plane. For instance, we shall have an example which says plot. We have examples which says plot these points on the Cartesian plane. We have point A, which is 0, 0, B is 3, 0, C is -2, 0, D is 2, -1, E is -3, -2, and F is 4, 5. So when plotting such points on the Cartesian plane, we shall first of all draw our axes, that is the x and y axis. So this is the y axis and this is the x axis. We name the origin, that is 0, 0. Then in the first quadrant, we've seen that the x and y are positive. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then on this side, the y is negative. Sorry, the x-axis is negative on the left of the y-axis, that is -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, -6. And below the x-axis, the y is negative, that is -1, -2, -3, -4, -5. So when plotting or when drawing these axes, the easiest way to understand this is that on the left of the y-axis, on the left the x coordinates are negative, and on the right they are positive. Then above the x-axis, the y values are positive, and below the y values are negative. Then we have our points that we are going to plot. We have points. Point A is 0, 0. How do we plot 0, 0? 0, 0 means we are at the origin and we are moving 0 step on x and 0 step on y. So if we move 0 step, we remain at the same point, meaning our point A, which is 0, 0, is at the origin because there are no steps moved on the x and the y axis. Then point B is 3, 0. So meaning the 3 is an x coordinate. So we move 3 steps on the positive side of x, that is 1, 2, 3. And since it is 3, 0, meaning we are moving 0 steps on the y-axis, so we remain at the same point. So this is point B, which is 3, 0. Then point C is -2, 0. So the first figure is always an x coordinate. So we start from the origin and look for -2, or we move 2 steps on the left of the y. That is 1, 2. So this is -2. Then after locating the x-axis, the x coordinate -2, we look for the y coordinate. Remember, the y is 0. So meaning we are moving 0 step on the y-axis. So we shall remain at that same point. This is point C, which is -2, 0. Then point D is 2, -1. So the 2 is on x, -1 is on y. So that is, we start from the origin and move 2 steps on the positive side of the x-axis. That is 1, 2. Then -1, we are moving below. That is -1. So where the 2 meet, at this point, where -1 on y meets 2 on x, that is our point D, which is 2, -1. Otherwise, hope you've learned how we plot points on the Cartesian plane. Then I'll request you that you plot for me point E and point F. Otherwise, thank you. We meet in the next lesson. Bye-bye.